We've been taking a lot of day tours lately, some on our own and some with a local tour company that specializes in tours for older adults. Recently, they offered a tour to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the site of the Manhattan Project during World War II. The Manhattan Project was a research and development project, extremely secret, that resulted in the development of the atomic bomb that ended the war. Now, I first became interested in the Manhattan Project when I read the book The Girls of Atomic City, which talked about the recruitment of young women from the farms who were brought to this site and worked on projects for which they had no idea what the result would be. Everything was highly secret. The book talks about day-to-day life, and I highly recommend it. The tour included a 2.5-hour bus ride from Asheville to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and then we were supposed to visit a museum. So I assumed the museum would be about the Manhattan Project, and I was very excited to see this and get more information about what life was like during that unbelievable time. However, it wasn't exactly what I expected. Let me tell you what happened. Hi, I'm Sandy from Sandy Over 70. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll consider subscribing. It's free, and you'll be notified when I post new videos if you click the little bell. When we arrived at the museum, I was surprised at how small it was. It was one room, and off to the corner on the left was the information about the Manhattan Project. But the rest of the museum was all about science and energy, and way beyond my level of understanding or interest. So let me show you some photos and videos of what we saw. This is the entrance to the American Museum of Science and Energy. This sculpture looked fascinating in the front of the building, but when I asked at the desk what it was, the woman said she had no idea. Now, this interesting globe led me to believe that this was going to be a very fascinating museum. However, the left corner was the only place that had information about the Manhattan Project. I'm here in the American Museum of Science and Energy in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And this is a museum not only to the Manhattan Project, but to energy as it's being used today here in Oak Ridge. There are a lot of exhibits here, and it's very detailed, but it's only one building that we're viewing. If you're a scientist, this museum will delight you. It's mostly posters with scientific information that is really way beyond my knowledge level. So I was kind of disappointed that it was scientific based and not Manhattan Project based, which was why I came on the trip in the first place. So after looking around, our tour guide told us she would meet us in the lobby in 2.5 hours, and I was appalled. I said, "Is there something I missed? Because I don't see anything else to look at." She didn't say anything, but shortly thereafter she said we were leaving and going to another museum. Oh, I was very grateful for that, and I couldn't wait to see what the other museum might have of interest. I did find the information on the supercomputers to be interesting. These are replicas of the walls of dials and knobs that the young women employed at Oak Ridge monitored. This Jeep was created on a 3D printer as shown here. Now, I don't really understand too much about 3D printing, but wow, it's impressive. This is a replica of Little Boy, the code name for the bomb which was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After our disappointing visit to the Museum of Science and Energy, I was excited to find out that we were going to another museum. It might have been because of my reaction when I found out we had to stay at the first museum for 2.5 hours and there wasn't anything else to see. I hope so, because when we got to the second museum, things got better. Let me show you. The Oak Ridge History Museum shines a light on the human side of the Manhattan Project, focusing on history and people's day-to-day lives during World War II in Oak Ridge. Now this is what I was looking for, and these initial signs as we walked in led me to believe that I was going to really enjoy this museum. This museum sits on the site of K25, which at the time was the world's largest building. It was 1 mile in length and consisted of 54 contiguous buildings, 4 stories high. Here we see some of the identification badges and one of the cute monkey signs that I've always liked. The entire museum is dedicated to life during the process of creating the Manhattan Project here in Oak Ridge. Everything about it is fascinating. I was particularly fascinated with Ed Westcott, who at age 20 in 1941 was employed at the Oak Ridge Center as the photographer, and he alone photographed life in Oak Ridge. He was the only one allowed to carry a camera. After the war, he came back to Oak Ridge and had a 35-year career in photography with the government. I can't imagine spending my entire workday monitoring all these dials and gadgets, but that's exactly what many of the women did here. The tour ended at a restaurant called Calhoun's, and the views were spectacular on the waterfront. I don't know if you can see that bridge behind me, but I have to say, it's probably the worst bridge I've ever seen as far as condition goes. It's completely rusted. So in the end, it turned out to be a pretty good day. Not quite as good as I had hoped for, but pretty good. So if you're in Oak Ridge, or you have an interest in the Manhattan Project, you might want to check it out. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.